So I can't always remember what I've shown, but this is an updated recent slide about expenditures in healthcare. It goes up to 2009. And these are other first world industrial powers: Canada, Germany, France, Australia. They have the slide with a lot more countries. And then the high one is the United States. So in 2009, we were spending about $8,000 in the United States per man, woman, and child on healthcare. And we are competing in an international economy where other countries spend half or less than half of that per man, woman, and child, as you can see. On the right side, this is expressed as a percentage of GDP, and I'll leave that alone. Many people believe that when they tote up the bills, and it'll take another 2 years or so, for 2012, the American expenditure for health care will run about $8,700 to $8,900 per man, woman, and child, which again, if you're at $8,000 in 2009, shows a pretty hefty leap up. And that's a lot of money. So let's think about that, because we've had meetings on your behalf, say with GE, and GE points out that we're building airplane engines and selling those into the world market against, say, Rolls-Royce. Rolls-Royce engineers and manufacturers and distribution people and all of those, their employers are buying health care at that price, whereas GE is putting that amount of health benefit cost into its airplane engines. So they start at a disadvantage based on that huge difference. So that's an impetus to change. This is looking at it as in another way, and you see some of this yourselves. This is family premium. So what does it cost to buy family benefits if you're a PrimeMed employee or a MediSync employee or a GE employee or anybody else as a percentage of income? And you can see back here in 1999 that that was about 11%. But as the health expenditures shot up in the previous slide, you can see that where we are now in 2013 is going to be at about 20%. So 11 to 20 is a big, and that's money that's not going into salary increases, it's not going into family housing and clothing and education for your children and all of that. So employers are diverting more and more of the money that you might get paid into your health benefit, or that cost is being loaded on employees. And you see your patients who come in with a $2,000 deductible and a $100 copay, and you know that this is biting into their lifestyle in a pretty significant way. If you go out a few short years to 2020, we're approaching 25%. So you might say, well, okay, we're America, we believe that healthcare is a wonderful thing and we really value and appreciate the lives and well-being of our citizens. We're willing to spend all that money. Reasonable choice. But then you'd have to look and say, well, all right, in exchange for all that money, how well do we do? And there are a great number of quality studies and slides that I could show you and won't for time, but the one I kind of feel pops out at me anyway is something called mortality amenable to healthcare, which is code for people who die of things we know how to fix. Okay, so if you die of 87 years old, or you die of pancreatic cancer, you get shot on the street corner, or have a traffic accident, you're not in this statistic. And so what they did is look at different countries and say, out of every 100,000 people, how many people die of something we know how to fix? And as you can see, by the way, the white is what used to happen back in the 90s. This is the most recent that this slide has been updated. So France is 55 people die of things out of 100,000 of people we know how to fix. And if you can count across the bottom, United States is coming in 17th place behind Greece. And we're up there, 96 deaths per 100,000, so almost double what the best country is, and we're spending twice as much to do it. So one of my arguments coming out of this is we're probably going to be under a lot of pressure to change something, because our federal budget deficit and our corporate well-being as employers and families is getting crushed by this. The last slide I'll show you shows if you're a country, each of these dots is a country. If you're on the horizontal line, the 0 line, and you're above it, the people in your country live longer than we would have expected. If you're below the line, you live less long. The people in your country on average live less long. And as to the vertical, if you're to the left of that, you spend less than you would have expected. If you're to the right of the vertical, you spend more. So where you want to be is up here, living longer and paying less. If you're over here, at least you're living longer. It's a little more expensive, but there's something to be said for it. If you're down here, you're dying quick but cheap. And then if you're in this quadrant, you're in hell because you're dying fast and spending a lot to do it. So going back to the dots, you can see Japan, Spain, Italy, Iceland, Netherlands, United Kingdom, Finland, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, etc., etc. The United States is over here where the page number should be. That's a value problem. We're spending a lot and we're not really getting there.